Good evening and welcome to Zero XP Studio. I'm Zero XP Dev and we're back, hopefully this time adding our weapons and enemies with weapons. Now, first off, let me just swap our screens behind there. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out our YouTube, our Twitter, X, and our Facebook. Make sure you're all subscribed, liked, etc. Following. All our updates are going to be on Twitter and Facebook, and everything, all our streams are archived on YouTube. So if you do miss any of our streams, you'll be able to catch up on them there. Now, I'm a little bit behind on uploads on there, but hopefully within the next week I'll be up to date, including tonight's stream and everything that we're not up to date there. Now, we're going to switch back over to our main screen again. And so we had some issues last episode. We were hoping to do what we were wanting to do tonight on Tuesday. However, I realized that where we'd programmed pretty much all our movement into our starship, we're going to have multiple starships that the player needs to choose from. So we wanted to create a player object that's going to then pick up stats from the objects for the. Let me close this for a sec. I'll reopen and go back to it. Let me open all our stuff, all our assets. Okay, so if we come to Starship, we originally had everything in our Starship. We had a whole bunch of events happening in here, all our movement events and all happening in here. And then we wanted to create a player object that would basically handle all that, but pick up stats. So we've got our object, our Starship object. Now we've turned it not visible, and I'll explain that in a second why. Because this object isn't going to be visible, the player object is though. And we can test and replicate this with a second starship, just to be sure. So what we're going to do is duplicate this. Oh, perfect, it goes OBJ Starship 2. Now we're going to open up Starship 2. Actually, let me close it for a sec because I want it to, we had pilot there. OBJ Starship 2, and we're going to open up its create event, and it's got the exact same stuff at the moment because we just duplicated it. Oh, Salem, hello. No, you're not going to come and say hello? Alright. Now, we're going to change this sprite. We need to add another sprite first, so let's duplicate that sprite. Starship 2. We'll open that up. And we're going to import a different image. So go back to our assets. Sprites. Ships. There's some different ships there. Those are our enemy ships. Some of them we're gonna choose through. We had these. We'll work off these at the moment for our prototypes, so they're similar. Alright. Yes. 0 frames, middle center. Okay, change our collision mask. So let's bring that to about. Oh, let's make it there. So what do we got? Can we do this? Size. No. Diamond. I mean, yes, but then there's a big thing at the back. but it does get to cover most of it then. Let's make it a little smaller. We'll do that. So let's make these a bit more accurate then. 250, 290. Alright. Okay, so if we go back to OBJ Player 2, Starship 2, we're going to change its sprite. Okay. Now, nothing's going to happen yet with that. But if I come back to, okay, so now we've got our object player. And in here, so this is pretty much from here. I'll move that so we don't get spoilers. And we're going to expand this a bit, because this one's we're working in mostly. So we had a lot of this all in our Starship. So we realized we needed to have this in an object and have the object call upon the Starship. So going through what we had all our setting our direction, turn and move. You'd have these come back in all the time. And then we've got, okay, we need to pull, at the moment we're pulling stats. So we're going to skip over some of that. So those first two there are pulling stats from Starship and Pilot. I'll explain those more in a sec. Then we've got, so our pilot speed. We're basically creating our pilot speed, player speed max, player speed forwards, player speed backwards. And in that, we had essentially these stats here. All right, and because that was all in our Starship. So they're all renamed to player. And we're pulling those from some variables we're creating up here. I'll go through them shortly, as I said. And then we've got, this last one was for our strafe stuff. So again, creating variables that we require to run our strafe. So strafe speed, duration, active, direction, and alarm. So we've got 5 different variables. And then again, we're pulling those from some variables we're creating up here. We had our step event. So this is happening all the time. This one's happening as soon as it's created. Step event is happening every frame. So we've got setting our direction and turn variables. So we've created them, now we're setting them. So we're pointing towards the mouse and turning our sprite to match. That's because our sprite is normally turned, normally 0 is facing to the side, and our sprites are actually facing upwards. I want to design them facing upwards like this. So we can close off the sprite, we don't need that open. I think we've got our top ones open up there. We don't need those open. So yeah, the -90 is turning our sprite to match, because the pointed direction is to the right. Then we're setting our instance rotation to the same as player direction turn. So that is setting everything to, like, the instance itself is going to point always towards where the variable we've created. Then we're setting what our speed is. Our speed is always going to be our speed forwards minus our speed backwards. We're going to adjust that speed depending though. That basically keeps it moving. We're setting a total speed variable here. And we're setting some other ones if something happens. So this is basically maxing out, like getting our speed to max what our max speed is set at. So first off, our total speed, we're working out how fast the ship is moving and setting it as total speed. And then we're getting that from Pythagoras' theory. So our h speed, our horizontal speed, times our horizontal speed, so a squared. V speed is moving up, so b squared, a squared, a times a is a squared, b times b is b squared, and we're getting the square root, so that's basically c squared. Or c, rather, because it's the square root of that. So we're setting, if our total speed exceeds greater than our max speed, we're going to set a scale. Now, our horizontal speed and v speed is going to be multiplied by that scale. Our scale is divided, our max speed divided by our total speed. And it's basically going to limit it. And then our strafe action. So if strafe is active, which we turn on when we press a button, first we set a friction, just so it slows it down, it slows the strafe down, the direction and speed, and then the friction is only set if strafe is active. So keep that in mind, that it's only set if strafe is active. We're adding motion in the direction and strafe speed, which we haven't set exactly what those are. We've just created those, but again, that gets set when we press the buttons. Strafe speed is set, sorry. Strafe speed, if we come to our create, is pulled. So strafe speed is pulled from what we've set our variables as. So in our starship strafe speed, say that 20 times. Starship, that's the strafe speed down here. Where is it? Base strafe speed. Okay, so little explanation of what I did change in the Starship. So we've added a base speed and an upgrade speed because we're going to need to adjust the variables as we get upgrades, both permanent and short term. So setting our total strafe speed is our Starship base strafe speed and our Starship upgrade strafe speed, both that and that added together basically. And then, so they're pulled up into here, and then we've got similar variables in our pilot. So if we open up our pilot, because that's a new object I've created, it's got basically the same thing as the Starship, but with pilot instead. So pilot base speed, etc., upgrade speed, pilot speed, and then through the strafe stuff as well. So back up to our player. So we've pulled those. So we've set our strafe speed. Our direction isn't set. We're checking the alarm countdown. We haven't set that alarm yet, but we're checking it. We're setting that as variable strafe alarm. We're just using that. We created that in here. Strafe alarm is false currently. No, strafe active false. Strafe alarm 0. There we go. And then, so basically this is saying, right, if the alarm's run, if the alarm has run, then we're setting, because that's going to setting alarm countdown to whatever the strafe alarm is. Strafe alarm says 0, so if the alarm is 0, then set alarm 0 to -1. That basically turns the alarm off. So whatever you count down from, if you set it to 10, it's going to count down 10 to 0 as 10 frames. We haven't set delta time yet. I'm not sure if we're going to need to or not. We'll see how our performance turns out. It goes down to 0. The alarm activates whatever is set on the alarm, and it stays at 0. If you've got to actually, if you want to run the alarm again, you've got to turn it off so you can run it again, whatever the countdown is. So we've turned it off with that, and then we turn. So when the strafe, basically alarm, is set again over here, when that turns to 0, then this goes off. It basically says, right, alarm is off and turn the strafe off. Strafe to inactive or false. Strafe active to false, which then obviously is going to turn the friction off. We don't need that. Everything's working without that. We don't want stuff that's going to break. Let's not get confused. That was some stuff I was doing with motions here. Okay, so first off, these are checking if the space key is held. So if we go to space, it's just basically turning some friction on. That's our brakes. If space is not being pressed, then we're just making sure there's no friction at all and we can move. And then, so this is our W key, our forwards key. We're basically saying, all right, now we're going to set our player speed to actually equal whatever the player speed is currently, plus our forward speed. So if our player speed is currently 0, our forward speed we've currently got set at 0.4, it's going to add that and then divide by our backward speed. Now this is going to essentially limit how much our acceleration is. So if we go 0 plus 0.4 and then times 0.2 is our backward speed. So currently it's only going to add 0.8. But then, okay, we're 0.8 plus 0.4. Alright, equals that times 0.2. So that plus 0.96 plus 0.8. Alright, so now we're at that, 1.76. So it's not quite doubled the speed. Then we go, okay, 1.76 plus 0.4 equals that. Alright. Times 0.2 plus, what was our history? 1.76. 1.76 equals. So again, now we've not doubled. It's only gone up by a third, maybe. So it's increasing speed, but not as much. And then basically, as we get closer, it's to our max speed. Hello, Salem. This is Salem. You can barely see him because he's fully black. Hello. What you doing? You're gonna leave cat hair all over my mouse pad again? Hey? Hello. You on stream, buddy? I'm streaming. What you doing? Say hello. No? Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. He drops in every now and then. Selena doesn't. She just sits and chills. I don't know where Selena is currently. But yeah, okay, so as I was saying, we are constantly increasing, and then as we get closer to our max speed, essentially the acceleration is going to decrease. And then we move. So we move in our player direction move, which we've already set over here, player direction move, and at our player speed, so whatever that player speed is. Now we're already limiting everything, our total speed, because it's going to start adding, okay, checking what our current speed is and then limiting everything to slow down. Basically everything from here to here is our limiting variables. So this is just checking how fast we're going, and then we're limiting what our actual speed is then. It's like slowing it down, slowing that speed down. The same thing over on the S key, but in reverse. So this time it's basically doing the same thing, but decelerating. We're minusing by our backward speed multiplied by our forward speed then in total. We've already gone through our space key, and then just releasing space key, it sets it to 0. everything just makes sure, like, it's just a double, that's just a double check, alright, that it is set to 0. Because it only wants to set to 0 if the space key is not being held down, alright? Then we've got our strafe. So A and D, left and right. We've got set strafe active to true. And then our strafe direction, so whichever direction the player is moving, plus 90 and minus 90 for the opposite direction. And then we're setting our alarm countdown here as well. So we're setting alarm 0 to whatever our strafe duration is, which again, so that's pulled stats from both of our variables. Now, we haven't created variables for our pilots, but if we were to add them in here, they'd just pull to double, and I can show you how we can test that as well in a sec. So last thing you'll see is I've got a draw here, and this is basically just giving us some debugging information when the game is being tested. We're giving it live on screen instead of using the debug, because we want to see live instead of having a look at the debug results afterwards. We want to see all the variables happen. So we're basically checking what our total speed is, our H speed, our V speed, and so basically whatever directions they're traveling in, and then again it works out through Pythagoras theory for our total speed. Our speed max, so again whatever we're just pulling, we're just seeing what the stats are that we've pulled. And then currently we're seeing what our starship speed is. Now, if we run, so first thing you'll see, one, we've got our rotation. We're setting a sprite. Why is it set the sprite? We're playing on the object, so not a sprite. We've got this. We see the starship. I didn't show that first, and I'll go back to that in a sec. That was the spoilers I didn't show, but we've also got our stats over here. So we can see current speed, H speed, V speed, total max speed. We've got 20 set at 20 at the moment. Our total forward speed 0.4, backward speed 0.2, strafe speed 8. Might be very difficult for you to see that on that screen, but it's why I'm going through it. Strafe speed 8, strafe duration 1, and then our starship speed, max speed 20, forward speed 0.4, backward speed 0.2, and then our strafe speed 8 and strafe duration 1. So you can see they all match exactly what our total speed is. Now if we move, we can see our horizontal speed and all. Well, first of all, if we've got the same motion that we had, where if I get to a spot where the camera's not moving, we've got our orbiting. Alright, so now when we go to where the camera's moving, you're not going to see the orbiting, and that's basically because the center point where it's moving isn't changing at the moment. So that's why it'll sort of orbit if I get it in a good state. There we go, it's kind of an orbit. Yeah, that's an orbit. It's a very oblique orbit. But now one thing you'll see is that our speed, now it goes slightly above, that's maths, with the square roots and stuff, but we're really not going above that 20.32. So I jumped a little bit higher. But yeah, it doesn't matter what direction we're going, it very much limits it, and it pulls it back. Alright. Now, so yeah, we can't really get too much orbiting going when the camera's moving, because basically it keeps moving with the camera. Now I want to slightly change something, because you'll see at the moment it's sort of going a little bit past center. I want it to be back. I want the camera to be sort of ahead of where the player is, so the player's got more time to see what they're fighting. So we can change that. That's basically just the camera settings. And then obviously at the moment we can go off screen. So at some stage when we're setting up our maps, some of the maps are going to loop, some are going to have borders and like stuff, that obstacles that you can't hit, like asteroids, for example, that you're going to run into and crash and die. Now, why has this gone to OBJ Starship 1 instead of OBJ Player, which doesn't have a sprite? So, back in our create, right at the top, the stuff I didn't show you. Here we go. Now this is the important stuff. So this is what's actually pulling in what pilot and what starship we've chosen. Now at the moment we need some more stuff in here. We're literally just saying, we're just typing in, all right, who it is, but something is going to set these variables instead of us just assigning them. But basically at the moment we're choosing, right, okay, OBJ Starship 1. Now if I change that to OBJ Starship 2 and I run, we should have, well, there's our second starship. Now we've got all the same stats, so it's going to move in exactly the same way. That one's quite a bit larger. But yeah, we've got the same movement. Everything all works the same, even though we've selected a different ship. And then basically what we're doing, how we're doing that is, okay, we're saying, right, current starship index, we're setting that as whatever the starship is we've chosen. It's choosing OBJ Starship. We'll just set it back to 1 for now. We're setting that. So we're going to create an instance of whatever we've set that variable as in the current position of OBJ Player. And then we're creating that on our player level instance layer. So in our room, we've got our layers, our player background, our player and background, and we're going to have more layers. We're going to have enemies and etc. Effects, things like that. And then we create a variable, right, current starship instance. And then we can pull from that variable, because that's basically saying, right, whatever the current instance is, we're going to use that. So the current instance of OBJ Starship 1, and then we want to pull the sprite. So now we're setting the sprite of our OBJ player to whatever the object we've chosen is. Then we repeat that for our pilot. Now, we're not setting a sprite for our pilot, as pilots are only going to be seen basically on our menu, but we need to pull stats from whoever's piloting the ship. And this is where we can pull that. So down here, this is where we're actually pulling the stats. So starship speed, we're just pulling the stat into OBJ player. So we don't have to repeat this whole section, whatever the value is every time. We can just use starship speed. So we're setting starship speed as the current starship instance and starship speed. Same for speed max, speed forwards, speed backwards. Same for the pilot stuff. And then, so we set our speed. So our player speed is our starship speed and our pilot speed. Now we've already seen how we set each of our starship speed there. Our base speed plus our upgrade speed. Now, I think I don't think it's going to be. I don't think we need to set that. So I think we can actually get rid of some of these variables. I might do that off stream though, because that's not necessary to be seen. We might get rid of the starship base speed, which means like the starship speed, the pilot speed, because they're just going to always be 0 anyway. That's like we're only creating that variable for the player because we need to control stuff. So that can actually be 0 there. And then basically what I'll do off stream, I'll just replicate the same as what I'm doing here on the others. So basically just moving them up. Yeah, 0.4, 0.2, get rid of that. Alright. Get rid of that. And then same here. And get rid of that. So they're all right. We should have done this automatically. I like to keep things neat. Alright, so I'll basically replicate that across those. I'll do that off stream though. Now I do need to fix this up because this is going to try to call them. And I don't want it to break. So bear with me a moment. I'll just do the one and then get rid of that. That makes it easier. Because yeah, basically we're doing the same thing here because we don't need to set those in each starship. Okay, so let me fix it up here. Again. Alright, and then for our pilot. Alright, so they're all fixed. And let's just make sure nothing's broken. We've still got our movement. Oh, last thing I didn't show, so yeah. Our strafe. And then each time it slows down. Sorry, I've never done this before, and the fact that I've been able to program all this myself from the whole point, 0 XP, I'm excited about the little things like this. What's up, buddy? Hey? Do you need to pee? I'm sorry, guys. We're just having a little troubles with litter retraining. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. We had a successful pee session, though. In the litter. Okay. Oh, excuse me just a second. Okay. So everything's working. Now, where we can test something else. So, we go. Let's change that one to 15. Let's change this to 30. And then we're going to go 0.6. That one's a little bit faster. 0.4. Now, if we test, first of all, we're going to see, yeah, everything's all matching, so it's pulling in the new change stats. We're not going as fast. We're still going that 0.32 over, but that's okay. We're still limiting to our max speed. We've still got strafing, and we've still got our brakes. So everything's all working the same. And then if we come up to our create event, we change that one to 2. Again, we've got all our stats being pulled correctly. And this one goes faster. Our brakes, our strafing, everything is all working. Now this was the other important thing, was the reversing. Is that, okay, so yeah, you've got your reverse thrusters. Basically, you can't just come to a stop. Whoa, if we're traveling fast and we hit the reverse thrusters. Now it's faster using our forwards thrusters because we've got a lot faster thrust. But if we're using our reverse thrusters, come back. Whoops. Let's get somewhere on the screen. Yeah, using our reverse thrusters, it really starts to. So it's like if you're in tight limit, you've hit brakes. I mean, our brakes work really well. So you really want to do that. So yeah, I really like our movement. You don't want to just hit reverse. But if we hit brakes, wait, why is that one? Because our acceleration is faster than our brakes. Okay, so that ship might need stronger brakes. Okay. Because that's enough for the other one, isn't it? 0.3. I mean, those are stats we could change as well, and say like, okay, this ship, it doesn't have as good of air brakes. It's really fast, but it's shit at slowing down. Well, it slows down alright. It's just not if you're holding fast. The thrusters overpower the brakes. All right. So everything's all working there. And obviously, as we go further into development and creating a menu that then essentially selects what ship we're doing, that's when we can set that variable. Okay. Okay, now, thinking about what we need to do now. A weapon for our player. So, first off, let's create a sprite. Player. Let's create some groups here. Starships. And create group. Weapons. So create sprite. SPR. Weapon 1. Alright, now import. Okay. Okay. Collision mask. Yep, that's all full. 0 frames per second. Middle center. Yep. Okay. Now we need. I suppose while we're there, create a group. Pilots. That's gonna not be used in OBJ pilot. Well, it'll be used in OBJ pilot, but it won't be used in the menu. Like in the game rather. Starship weapons. Starship. Create group. Weapons. Create object. OBJ. Weapon 1. Let's type player weapons. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to need to open up game design, tutorials. Probably both of those. Alright. No. Delete that. Yes. New instance layer. Weapons. Okay. So first off, okay, let's close that. Close that for a sec. So first off, we're going to want add event, mouse, left down. Feel like it's in the other one. Yeah, okay. Alright, so let's set some variables here. Weapon cooldown. There might be some more. Weapon 1 cooldown. Alright, I need a couple of things because I don't want it to go outside crazy of stuff. There's our center line. Okay, so first off, we're going to go cool down. Okay. So I can cool down. Okay, now. Okay, hold on. What am I doing? I think I need... me... Test things, make sure they're working as they're going. This be our weapon 2. Let's go with that one. Actually, hold on, let me go. So, studio. Can I move that? Alright, there we go. Alright. Read object. delete that. Let me duplicate. Okay. If and then we want to set Alright. think we need some assistance. AI has been helpful with the troubleshooting very much. Why is that not working again? Okay, that's working. Let's go Starship 1. Okay, there's a problem there. OBJ weapon 1. Is that a problem? It's not a problem. Have I got... No, that's right. rid of those for a sec. Okay. Ref object 4. No, that needs to change. How do I pull the name of object name of a current object instance to display as a value game maker? Add a variable in here. What did I have on that? Is it just that? There we go. Alright, so now we're testing. Right. Check weapon 2. Okay. Down. Hmm. Is it not? Changing that. Why is it doing this? It's not working. Weapon OBJ, weapon 1. Okay. Okay, let me add the stuff in for that object then. Excuse me. OBJ player dot add direction move. Outside room. Destroy instance. Okay. Oh, I think we need to do this differently. I've got an idea. I need to take a quick 10-minute break though to clear my mind. I'm starting to melt inside the head. So during the break, I'm gonna just delete this stuff. We're gonna keep the sprites. I'm gonna keep the bullet objects, But I'm going to delete these variables that I've created, and we're going to reset up some different stuff. So, we'll be back soon. As I said, we'll take a quick 10-minute break. And we'll fix this all up. So don't go anywhere. Okay, and we're back a little bit sooner. So let's pull up our main screen before I forget to do that. Now, I've cleaned up some of what we did. We've still got some things there, so we've got our sprites and stuff still. Oops. Okay, so we're going to start changing some things. So, create group. Starship 1. And then create group. Starship 2. Oops, this one should be in there. Now we're going to put that there. Keep that one in there. Now we're going to do that. Create group. Weapons. Pull this one down here. Okay. So that's just cleaning up there. Let's do the same up here. So create group. Starship 1. That's in there. Create group. Events. That one's in there. Create group. Starship 2. Okay. So, what we're going to do first is in our Starship 1. Let's close off. What have we got? Object player. Starship object weapon. That's all we've got. So first we're going to go object weapon 1. We've kept some of this. So we've kept the weapon cooldown. We may move this. We're going to move that. Okay. We don't want that. Okay. So the bolt's always going to go faster. Weapon speed. different direction. Okay. Okay, so I want... Why doesn't it keep these? Did this before. I had to close and reopen, so it reset everything. I want to see what I've got written. These only just fit in here. Alright, now, because I want some space on this one. So, weapon 1. OVJ. Weapon 1. Go down 10. Okay. Now up in our layer, again. Come on. Alright. So. Weapon 1. I have weapon 1. We want to keep all our starship weapon 1. I keep all our naming schemes proper. So player weapon 1. And that's going to be, so we're going to do similar to this, so current starship index dot starship weapon 1. And then Go down. Okay. So now in our step event, this is where okay, so fire, weapon, 1, cooldown, -1, relative. And then we basically want this, so we go add event, mouse, left down. So F variable. Fire, weapon, 1, cooldown. It's less than 1. Create an instance. Maybe, wait. Okay. That might have been Y as well. X and Y. Signed variable. Layer. 1. Cooldown. Need a reset. Some long variable names. Okay. To fire weapon 1 cooldown. We'll do that. Fire weapon 1 cooldown. To fire weapon 1 cooldown reset. Now, current weapon. Okay, let's enable these again for a sec. Fire weapon 1. And then we need some action for the bullet itself. So we've got a couple of options here. So this one, this one. What's this one got? Speed, direction. Are both in the create events? Where am I looking? Yeah, it's in the create event as well. Okay, so yep, create event. It's on variable. What's that? Okay, hold on. Set point direction. There we go, for direction variable. We set a speed in direction. Oh wait, we need another assign variable here. So direction random range -4 4 relative and then set speed as direction, and speed is going to be weapon speed. Set instance rotation to direction. Okay, let's press that. Whoops. Weapon event. Weapon 1 event. Ah, okay, hold on. Why is it not firing? Let's get rid of our cooldowns. Let's see what's going on here. It's object 4. Okay, so what if we come up here? Wait, that started too. Okay. What if we change it to a left press? Jesus. Why is it only doing it if I'm pressed on it? Okay. It needs to be a global event. So change event, other, mouse, global, global left down. Okay, now. There we go. Okay. So we've got bullet fire. And then, so it's shooting. Woohoo! Okay. Okay, alright. So we can re-enable these. Shift that up here. There we go. Now, in our draw event, can we go OBJ? We do that. OBJ weapon 1. Woohoo! Now, the real test. So let's go OBJ weapon 2. Wait, no, hold on. Let's go Starship 2, weapon 2. Open its create. Open its create. Now, first thing we want to do OBJ weapon 1. Now purely again for testing, so we're going to go a 20 cooldown on that one. And the weapon that. Okay, so let's go copy event. Delete event, yes. Paste event. Speed. Finish remove, nothing else needs to be done there. Copy event. Paste event. Destroy instance. And then we come up to our create event up here. Let's just change that to number 2. Test that. Woohoo! Alright. Okay. We're getting somewhere now. We need some enemies to destroy. We got some weapons to fire. We should add a second weapon for the secondary fire. But not yet. We've got that. We know what we're doing to add weapons. We need something to shoot at. So. Alright. Now we're going to have all different types of enemy AI behavior. Let's just recreate this one first. So, first off, create group. Enemies. Da, 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 da. This is enemy faction 1. Create group. Enemy 1. Create sprite. SPR. Enemy 1. Excuse me a sec. Create. Oh, create object. Alright, so our sprite. Sprites. Let's go with some of these to start with. Frames. Middle center. No, we're going to want to custom that. Custom. Let's bring it up here a bit. Alright, there. That looks good. Collision mask. Lips. Oh yeah, that's almost perfect. Let's do that. Okay. Alright. Now, our create event. Our step event. Oh, health. Okay. That we don't have. We need to do that for the player and the enemy. So, let's check our player first. And now that's going to be enemy 1 HP. Enemy 1 speed. Now we can move at 20. Go 5. Let's go 2. I don't know how it's gonna go. Enemy HP. Let's go 5 to start. We're just testing stuff, and those can all be changed. So, add step event. No. If instance exists, OBJ player. Set point direction. X. Player.y. Set speed. Direction to speed. Set instance rotation to direction. Now, if enemy 1 HP. Oops. Also equal to 0. Excuse me. Destroy instance. Alright. And then we need the... What else have we got in here? The title. Screen. Right. Okay. So create a folder. Yeah. Delete that. Create group. Game. Level 1. Nebula. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Enemy one spawn rate. Set alarm countdown to enemy one spawn rate. Alright, and then alarm 0. Create event, step event. Decimal. Room width. X. Y. Down to enemy one spawn rate. Alright, then we need another one. So create object obj one spawn. event. Adding. Change instance. That might have been what we wanted to use before. That's going to handle how it spawns in, basically, so we can use that for the enemies. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to want a parent object for the enemies, so create object, obj, enemy collision. Now, it's going to be a parent. Of object. It's going to have all of these, so I go weapon collision. Neither of these need to be visible. Player weapon collision. Let's duplicate that and player collision. You do that on our weapons. It'll be easier instead of trying to go through that. Object weapon, parent, object, player weapon collision. I want them in order. That's how picky I am. Alright. Now, I did have this in one. Tutorials. Indie Woods. Now this has object character parent. Object enemy parent. There's no collisions on any of them. Everyone defeated. There's no collisions there. There you go. Object collision with object enemy parent. Oh god. Okay, so we might set that at another time. We don't worry about the collisions there. We need to be able to fire at the enemy. What if we just go to testing at the moment? Where are we? Add an event. Collision with object enemies 1. Object enemy 1. Alright. First we'll do fly to other, then assign variable, enemy 1 HP -1 relative, destroy instance. Okay. And then in our enemy 1, okay, so if variable is less or equal, then we destroy instance. Okay, so that should work. We need to change to weapon 1 because we've only done that for bullet 1 at the moment. It's not gonna fire. That. And then I want to zoom out a bit. So rooms, viewports and cameras. Viewport. Oh wait, I know these. 3840 by 1440. Which way is it? No, that's the wrong way. Oops. Layout, no. Delete, yes. Enemies. Let's bring that down here. Spawner. Object spawner. Player. Let's bring the player more centered. Oh, come on. Oops. That'll do. Okay. Well, that's a lot. Speed not set. What's going on? Enemy. Direction. Needs to be enemy 1 speed. Yep. And now the spawn rate. That needs to be a lot slower. Count. 1,000 seconds. No. What's 5 seconds times 60? 300. That's 5 frames. 60 frames a second. Oh, what is it? Ah, Jesus, there's so many. Why are they spawning so quickly? Set. Only one spawn, right? Ah, that's why, because it's in the step event, not the alarm 0. I need to move that from that step to alarm 0. So X that, paste that there. Now, change that back to 300. Now, where's the enemies? Come on. Oh, there's one. Cool. Okay, then we need to change those direction, add the minus 90 on them, because they're moving sideways. And let's increase their speed. Alright, so enemy 1. Minus 90 for that. And their speed. 10. And the last thing. OBJ. X minus 1000. Plus 1000. Oops. X. And we change that one to Y. Y. So they're going to spawn closer at least, so we're not going to sit there waiting for ages. Ah, Jesus. Oh, do they fly that way? I want them flying the other way. Where is it? Plus 90. They should be flying the other way now. There we go. Ah, Jesus. But that's alright because we've got no collision yet. Alright. Now, we haven't given them anything to fire back at, and we've got no collision between the player or the enemies yet. But my back's starting to get sore, my brain's starting to fry. We've done quite a bit tonight. We've got our weapon fire, and we've got enemies that we can kill. So, that's going to do us for the night. Until next Tuesday, I've been 0xp Dev, this is 0xp Studio, and we'll see you then. Stay safe and enjoy your weekend.